Welcome to the Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast. I am your co-host, Kieren Lefebvre, joined by Adam Childs.
What's up? That was probably your lowest energy intro that you've done.
I was channeling that video. Adam just showed me a video of this guy like singing on America's Got Talent. And then he's like this white guy that comes out and sings like Barry White. And
it's really funny.
Oh, baby. So I was like channeling that. Oh, yeah. This is jiu-jitsu. If you're into jiu-jitsu, you're in the right place.
tweet. Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah. Episode 115. We're actually going to stay on track this episode. Last episode, it started with us being like, okay, we're talking about this and this and this. And then that was not at all what we spoke about. If you didn't listen to that episode, it was, bit talking about the recent-ish, information from John Danaher regarding the DDS split. But then we, that went into talking about the chess scandals that is going on with competitive chess and cheating. And it turned out, look, Kieren and I spend a lot of time together with the podcast and, essentially 5 days a week in the gym. So often, it's not like we know everything about each other, but we spend a lot of time talking about shit. But then in that episode, it was complete news to me that Kieren's a massive chess nerd, and I like chess, but I don't know a lot about it. And then so it was like 30 minutes talking about chess and who's cheating and what's going on. And you knew all these people's names. And I was just sitting there being like, yeah, this is great.
We got some good feedback. Some people that actually play chess were interested. But then someone in the YouTube comments brought up that we collectively, as we're speaking about chess scandals and sport cheating scandals, we failed to mention the most scandalous scandal that's currently scandalizing the world.
Which is?
Apparently in the States, in a fishing tournament, like professional fishing, this guy loaded his fish with weights and filleted fish, like Costco bought filleted fish, like crumb fish, and was jamming it into these fish to artificially increase the weight so he would win. And these are prize, like this is a professional level. These are like prize competitions.
Yeah. I saw this video. The dude's just standing there while they're cutting open the fish.
He's got nothing to say and they're pulling out weights. It's insane. Yeah. It's like, fuck, man. That's nuts. I wonder how long, like people all around him was like, how long have you been doing this? Because obviously he's a regular. And man, that's desperation to win. Desperation.
Anyway, we're going to stay on track today. Episode 115. We're talking about jiu-jitsu teams and a bit more specifically why myself and, by default then Kieren as well, because he trains at my gym, why I've left Alliance. So some people would already know this, especially any of my students who are listening already know this. But decided to part ways from the Alliance team. And it was, we're going to go into the details as to why, but it was a big decision for those who aren't completely up to date on my background and my history. I got my black belt from Fabio Gurgel. If you don't know who that is, he's like one of the founders of
Jiu-Jitsu,
of Alliance. So Fabio, along with, so Jacare is Fabio's coach. So there was Jacare, his student Fabio Gurgel, and Alexandre Paiva, or Gigi. Those three founded Alliance together back in 1993, I think it was. And Fabio's the coach of guys like Cobrinha, Marcelo Garcia, Bernardo Faria, Michael Lange, Lucas Lepri, all these, Luano Alzaguir, Gabi Garcia, all these big names. And so I lived in Brazil for 5 years training under Fabio, got my black belt from Fabio, worked also for many years as a manager for the Alliance team, and then have been operating Alliance Sydney for the past 4 years.
So ironically, just to touch on your job, you were actually, correct me if I'm wrong, you were responsible for the international affiliates of Alliance.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Alliance has, I haven't done that job for a few years now, but I think pretty peanuts compared to Gracie Barra numbers, but still something like, I think, 400 affiliates or something around the world. They have a lot in Brazil and the US, but haven't successfully expanded into Europe and Asia like Gracie Barra has done. So yeah, but anyway, something like 400 affiliates. So I used to
crazy numbers, man. That is crazy.
It's a lot of gyms, and I used to help manage those, affiliates or whatever, and would travel to, the Worlds and Masters and whatever to see them. And so that's what I used to do. It got to a point where it was too difficult to have enough time to do that job as well as run my gym and have time for my family. So, and it didn't really pay me anything because I was still getting paid in reais, Brazilian currency.
Oh.
So it was like almost charity work for me. So I stopped doing that job. But yeah, it's gotten to a point where it didn't make any sense to remain with the team, but it was a hard decision. I think I probably stayed with Alliance longer than I would have if I was just some dude, because Fabio was my coach. He's my coach, right? Because, I'm under Fabio and I had worked for Alliance, I'm very close to the team coming from, the headquarters of that team, not just some when you see people that, I train at whatever, Marcelo Garcia Jiu Jitsu, and you're like, oh yeah, wow, I've never met Marcelo. What's he like? He's like, I don't know, I've never met him too. I train at one of his gyms in wherever. No, that wasn't my case, right? Like I trained at Fabio's gym, lived in Brazil with him and everything. So it was a hard decision, but I probably stayed longer with Alliance than I would have if I didn't have that relationship. But yeah, finally made the call to start doing my own thing and no longer, unfortunately, but also fortunately, no longer represent that team.
Why? Everyone wants to know, like, why?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. There's actually heaps of reasons why. Way more reasons for not continuing with them than for staying with them. I guess the straw that broke the camel's back, you could say, was the financial obligation. It never really sat. I really don't like the franchise model for jiu-jitsu gyms.
So what is the franchise model?
So the franchise model is the Gracie Barra model, right? Which is, if I were just an investor who knew nothing about jiu-jitsu and I wanted to make money, and someone said, hey, there's 2 gyms to choose from. There's a Gracie Barra opening that you can invest in, or there's a, Adam Childs Jiu-Jitsu that you can invest in.
Adam who?
Yeah, exactly right. No. I would invest in Gracie Barra. Like, it's just, it makes money, but it is, like a lot of people refer to it, the McDojo of Jiu-Jitsu. And yes, that's a bit of a blanket statement. There's obviously amazing Gracie Barra gyms with incredible instructors and students and athletes and whatever. But the franchise model, in my opinion, is, and from my experience, not just being someone who doesn't know anything, like I'm someone who has, worked not with Gracie Barra, but with them in the sense that I worked for Alliance and, we would look at what Gracie Barra's doing and whatever, and I run my own gym and everything. So I have experience in this space. And from my experience, the franchise model it's very similar to if you were a chef wanting to open a restaurant, right? Let's say if you're not a chef and you're just a cook, you're someone who's like, hey, I like food and stuff, right? And I would like to have a restaurant, but I don't really have any credentials or I don't know how to do whatever. I'm going to franchise and open, let's say for argument's sake, like a Subway or something.
Like a Nando's or something
like that. Yeah, or a
Mm.
Nando's is maybe a better example for like international lists. So it's kind of like it's a restaurant, but it's not, so it's a step above like Subway, but it's not like going to a Gordon Ryan restaurant or something, And so I think the jiu-jitsu franchise model is a bit similar to that in the sense that, let's say if you wanted to open a gym today and you're a blue belt and you want to open a gym, the franchise model can work because you're given all this, in theory, given all this support and knowledge and whatever in exchange for your financial commitment that allows you to operate your business. Yeah. When you can be the owner of the business, but you're not even like the head instructor. Or
so whatever. I have all the branding done. I have the website templates done. I have the timetable and the schedules done. Yeah. I have what I'm going to teach the students done. I have all my instructor support, as in like I do an online instructor course and it's done, in theory. And then I have the reputation sorted out because everyone knows Gracie Barra. It's just now it's Gracie Barra, Randwick or wherever.
Yeah.
Not to reveal my location.
We're in Randwick. International listeners are like, where?
Shut up, dude.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's exactly it. And Gracie Barra, for example, like they do a great job of it, right? They charge a huge amount of money for it, but you get a lot of support. Like you can pretty much want to open a Gracie Barra. They'll take your money, but they'll give you shit in return. Like they'll find you an instructor, right? They'll set mats up for you, and they do a lot of marketing stuff that then you get to piggyback off, right? Yeah. So you get a lot for it.
It's kind of like opening a McDonald's.
It is like opening a McDonald's, yes.
Hence the analogy,
the term McDojo. And look, there's a time and place for that. I don't have a problem with them doing it. I just don't like the franchise model for me. I don't have a problem with other people going that model or that model existing. It's the same as I don't have a problem with McDonald's. I just don't eat it. Right? Or I eat it when I'm on a 10-hour road trip and it's McDonald's or starvation. Yeah. Then I'll go to a McDonald's, right? Yeah. But I don't have a problem if you were eating McDonald's right now. I wouldn't give a shit. Like, I'm cool, man.
But
like,
what if I was training at Gracie Barra right now? Would you care then?
Well, I'd be like, you'll get that hip escape one day, Kieren. Yeah, off you go. Yeah.
Shit.
So I don't really like that model. Alliance originally, or at least when I was working with them, they were quite adamant about differentiating themselves from Gracie Barra and not being considered a franchise and being considered affiliations. So they wouldn't franchise their gyms, and they still don't really franchise their gyms.
So we have to ask, like, can you just quickly explain the difference? What is a franchise compared to, well, we know what a franchise is, but what's an affiliate? Isn't it just a different word for franchise?
Yes and no. So an affiliate is supposed to be where you don't have as many restrictions put on you like you do when you're a franchise. So when you're a franchise, you can't change shit. Like, and I know multiple people who have trained at Gracie Barras that's so strict that, for Sophia, one of our students who originally came from Gracie Barra, she could tell you, she could go, oh, it's the 5 o'clock class on the third Thursday of the month. We're doing scissor sweep and cross collar choke. Like it's so regimented and strict, right? An affiliation was supposed to be, okay, you pay less, you also get less, and you're just associated with the team and you represent the team and everything, but you still kind of get to do your own thing.
So you get to use the branding.
You get to use the branding, but there's not, like, for example, Gracie Barra, you can't put in whatever color mats you want. You can't paint the walls whatever color you want. Like, it's more like walking into a Subway or a McDonald's. Like, you're not going to
have to buy this brand of ice cream machine. You have to buy this fucking, if you're in this country, you need to stock these items. This is your menu.
That's right. Yeah. And like I said, Gracie Barra do a good job of it. What they do that Alliance, and now that's the difference, right? But Alliance is definitely, whether they've officially made the decision or not, I'm not sure, but just knowing how things are changing within the association, they're definitely going more franchise, which, like I said, I don't like. So, it's not for me anymore. And this is just one of the reasons, unfortunately. I wish it was as simple as that. But they're definitely leaning more towards that franchise model that doesn't interest me. And this is the way I explain it to people who, even in the jiu-jitsu world, but especially if I'm talking to, let's say, for example, my parents who have asked me, why have you changed the name of the gym? And they don't know anything about jiu-jitsu really. I say, well, it's kind of like this. I go, if we imagine it's like restaurants and chefs, it's like, okay, I'm not a world champion in jiu-jitsu. I'm not a Michelin star chef. However, I did my apprenticeship under a Michelin star chef and I've worked in Michelin star kitchens. So now when I go and open my own restaurant, I don't need to franchise a Nando's because I already paid my dues and I did my apprenticeship under someone, you know, so credible and such a high level instructor or chef, and I worked in such high level prestigious kitchens. You know, I was taught and trained so well that I don't need the support to open a Nando's, and I don't need to pay money to use the name Nando's. I can just open my own restaurant.
Adamos.
Adamos.
Coming soon.
We do Perio chicken, you know, like, so it's kind of a little bit like that. But, you know, so I don't want to be, even from the beginning of having Alliance Sydney, I didn't necessarily implement all the contractual obligations that you're supposed to do when you're an Alliance affiliate, such as, you know, requiring students to wear the uniform and things like that. I'm not under any illusions that they don't give good advice. If I did everything that Alliance said that you should do, I would probably have a bigger gym with more students and make more money. In saying that, I'm yet to meet a single person who goes into jiu-jitsu with this, wow, this looks like a great career path and a very lucrative business. Like, if I just wanted to make money, I would have gone into, you know, the financial market or something like that, or hedge funds or whatever. You know, don't get me wrong, you got to pay your bills and everything, but if I did everything that you're supposed to do, that you agree to do in your contract, if I did all of that, yes, I would probably have more money, more students, whatever. But what I wouldn't have is, you know, the happiness that I have in the way that I run my business. I wouldn't have the atmosphere that I have in my gym. I wouldn't have the types of students that I have in my gym. And that's worth more to me than, you know, just like, I'll give you an example. You go to these very strict gyms, and let's say Gracie Barra, for example, you have to wear a rash guard under your gi, right? Which Alliance doesn't have that rule, but I wouldn't be surprised if they implemented it one day. People argue it's for hygiene. It's bullshit. It's just to sell more rash guards. And yeah, so if you went, let's say you trained at Gracie Barra and you turned up and you had forgotten your rash guard, right? You would have two options. No, you'd essentially have three options. Go home, don't train, quickly run home, get your rash guard and come back, or buy a new rash guard. Like that would be it. They're your options. I don't feel good about that. I don't have that kind of culture in my gym. Most of the time when people forget their gi, I'm like, I'll lend you a gi. And then I usually even wash it for them. Like, what's wrong with me? Right? You know?
You do, yeah.
So it's just not how I want to run my business. Like, yeah, my business could be bigger and more successful, but it's, you know, it's not about that for me. So that's like the difference between affiliations and franchises. But, you know, it's also, I mean, it's a lot of money, man. And it got to a point where it was, I remember when the thought first started coming up, like I really didn't want to leave Alliance. Like it's something that's so close to me. But it was like, pay Alliance money, which again, I never got anything in return for it. Like if you were just an accountant and that, you know, and you're looking at this, my numbers and going, okay, so every dollar you spend, there should, not every dollar there needs to be a return because it's not all investment. Like obviously there's no return on paying your electricity bill, right? But you know what I mean.
Toilet paper for the toilets.
But you know what I mean? Like something like this, they would go, where's the return on that investment? And I go, oh, there isn't one, right? Because all the knowledge and support that you get, which is very minimal, by the way, like in my opinion, I don't need it. It's kind of like if I said to you, oh, Kieren, I'm your real estate agent. I'm going to increase your rent by $50 a week, but I'll check your mailbox for you. You'd be like, yeah, I don't need that service.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so a lot of the support they give, because I got my black belt from Fabio, because I trained in Brazil under him, because I used to do the job that, like, the support that they give me, I used to be the dude that would give that support to other affiliates. So I don't need to pay.
Funny. Yeah,
I don't need to pay for that.
Yeah.
So even before there was no return on the investment. but they just kept increasing the cost
and not
to
really
be associated with them.
and not like including anything.
Well, including stuff, but stuff that I don't need.
Right.
And yeah, so it kind of got to a point when the thought first started happening. I really didn't want to leave, but it was like, okay, I either keep paying Alliance money or I feed my son, you know? Oh,
Ooh,
wow.
that's a tough one.
What should I do?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I have a question. This wasn't actually something pre-planned, but did they ever call you out prior to all of this? Did they ever call you out for not meeting certain obligations of your affiliate contract? Did you ever get like, hey, just check in to make sure all your students are wearing Alliance, or hey, you haven't done a seminar with an Alliance person in a while? Have they ever done that? Did they ever do that? I'm just curious.
I never got called out because they kind of. This is also the problem with what they're trying to do, and I don't want this to be just a dump on Alliance episode. Like, I spent years working for them, and I mean, they didn't take my advice when I worked for them, so they're not going to listen to it now. But for example, like they really only have two business models: one that suits the Brazilian market and one that suits the American market, and they also only have the resources or are willing to spend the money on the resources to deal with those markets. So Europe and Asia and pretty much the rest of the world they're happy just to collect the affiliation fee or the franchise fee, but then more or less, like, you don't hear from them unless you owe them money.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I
they
figured.
kind of turn a blind eye. Because let's say, for example, that you just can't, in Australia, one of the reasons I barely ever stocked Alliance skis in the gym is because they're all in US dollars, and then, you know, shipping and import taxes. For international listeners, a good gi in Australia, you'll spend about 200 Australian, right? And in the US, it's about the same. You'll spend about 200 US, right? But let me just do a quick currency conversion. So 200 US is
$250.
Is $317 Australian.
Holy shit!
So
it's gone up.
And you're going to pay shipping and import taxes, which is about 15%. So, you know, for what people are used to paying 200 Australian for a gi, I'm going to be like, but buy this Alliance gi for $450. You know, like, it's just ridiculous. And because Alliance doesn't have anything in place to supply to this part of the world, they turn a blind eye. Whereas in America and Brazil, they're much more strict on, you know, chasing down affiliates who aren't following uniform policies and things like that.
I figured that would be the case because we're in Australia. We're isolated. You know, there's at the time there was 2 Alliance gyms, including you, in the country, in the entire country. I don't think they're going to be heavily regulating the Australians.
Yeah, but you know what Gracie Barra do, for example, is they essentially have a subsidiary of the bigger association. So there's a guy in Australia who's essentially the head of Gracie Barra Australia, and I'm not sure if it's percent based or if he pays a flat fee, but he's allowed to. He takes care of all of Australia, for example, and then just pays, you know, percentages or royalties to the bigger Gracie Barra. So he's allowed to, you know, like, it's on him for finding suppliers, and then the better job that he does, the more money he makes and everything.
Yeah. It's like a pyramid.
Yeah, it's a bit pyramid schemey.
Yeah,
you know. So there's just no support for this side of the world, and which is a shame, because in my opinion, me being one of Fabio's black belts who did the job for the association, in my opinion, they should have almost been paying me to open a gym here, because if they'd let the reins loose, they could have had me as the first soldier on the ground.
Yeah.
To not the first, because there was already a gym in Brisbane in the north of Australia, but you know, he was under similar restrictions. But they should have. It'd be like, for example, so kind of stepping ahead now, but the gym is being rebranded to Vantage Jiu Jitsu, which is not a new, well, it's a new team, but it's not like an existing team that we're now like leaving Alliance but joining this other team. So Vantage is just me, right? So it's not like we're leaving Alliance to affiliate with Atos or something. So, you know, it'd be like if you were like, hey man, I want to, I know it's slightly different. Alliance is a big existing team with multiple world titles and whatever, but for argument's sake, it'd be like if you were like, oh man, I want to go open a Vantage gym in, you know, Mexico or something. You know, I'd be like, oh man, you're like the first dude on the ground, like expanding the gym in a country where there's no Vantage Jiu Jitsu yet. Like, wouldn't I want to do everything in my power to kind of help you, opposed to being like, yeah, cool, man, awesome. You go grow the team in Mexico and pay me for it. You know, like, I don't know. I understand it's a business and they need to make money and whatever, but also it's a business. Shouldn't that kind of be, I'm not asking for handouts, but I mean, it was just a little, man, all you guys do is want money from me, you know, like, yeah. So, I mean, that's the, I mean, I guess they're the first two reasons to summarize, not being on board with the franchise model and the direction that they're taking the business, and also the financial obligation. It just became too much. And like I said, from day one, there was never a return on the investment, but it was more because of my emotional connection. I was willing to pay the money to stay a part of the team and represent the team. But I don't, and when they continued to increase the price, and yeah, they would be like adding value, but again, things that aren't valuable to me because I already have these things. But if I go back to the first example, would be probably really valuable if you were a blue belt looking to open a gym, but they weren't valuable to me. It just, you know, it just became too much. Like I said, if I have to feed my son or pay essentially throw money away to something that I don't need, you know, and I don't owe them in perpetuity. And that's the sort of vibe I got, you know. It felt like, you know, like I did my time. If you went and did med school at Harvard, imagine if you had to pay a royalty every time you said to someone, oh, you know, I went to Harvard. You know, it was kind of almost a bit like that. Like, you know, I have to pay you forever just to, no man, like I paid a lot of money for all those years that I trained there, you know, like, I don't know, it's left me a little bit sour and salty, to be honest. But, you know, there was even a meeting where, and this isn't me pointing out any one particular person. Alliance is also the business, the Alliance, the team, and the jiu-jitsu of Alliance, and Fabio as a coach. Like, I can't find a single fault, you know, like they have more world titles than anyone. Fabio has produced more world champions than anyone. He's arguably like one of the best jiu-jitsu coaches of all time. You know, yeah, listing some of his students again, Marcelo Garcia, Lucas Lepri, Cobrinha, Michael Lange, like Bernardo Faria, all these guys are all under Fabio. So the jiu-jitsu and everything I have no problem with. It's just the business, and Alliance, the business, they now have investors and stuff. So they have I think they have one big equity partner now who I don't know how much he knows about jiu-jitsu and that. So, you know, it's just going a bit more, hey, they want a return on their investment, and the business side of it, I reckon he's fucking dog shit.
Right. So have you spoken to Fabio? How do you take it when you told him, hey bro, I'm leaving, I'm out?
Yeah, like not super well.
Shit.
Like it was I mean, I spoke to multiple people from the team, and
before you went to Fabio or after?
Both.
Right. And
because these are also people that they're not just people from the team, they're people who I used to train with and I'm friends with, and so people who I know really well and they know me really well. And it was really frustrating actually, because no matter what I said, you know, it's like they just weren't listening to me, you know? Like there was a lot of I don't want to say smoke and mirrors, but, you know, a lot of those sort of very marketing ways of saying sentences that, you know, it's almost like if you go listen to a Tony Robbins speech, and it's easy to get super inspired and everything while you're there, but that doesn't instantly translate into you being more successful and more motivated and whatever, right? So there's a lot of sort of that, and it was just like no one was really listening to me, and I'm trying to say to them like, man, you know, this is too much money, like you don't get it, like this and that, like these numbers don't add up, and you know, I don't want to leave, but I need this sort of help and support, and you know, the rebuttal is essentially, if you do this, you know, you'll make money. No, you're not listening. Like I've been doing that for 4 years, and I'm in the hole, you know. And essentially, my argument was, look, whether I'm right or wrong, I'm right. And what I mean by that is, so Alliance is saying, do this, do that, whatever, and things will work out. And I'm saying, no, you're wrong. That's not how it works. Okay. Therefore, I'm right to leave. Or they're saying, do this and that and it'll work out, you'll be more successful. And if they're right about that, then I'm still like, well, I've been trying that for 4 years, and so I'm obviously not good enough to do it, or I'm doing it incorrectly or something, and it's not working out for me. So even if your information is correct, I'm not successfully implementing that information, so I'm still right to leave. You know, so like it doesn't matter if, you know, whether the information they're giving me, the support they're giving me is correct or incorrect. It's not working for me, whether that's my fault or their fault. It doesn't matter. It's the bottom line is still no return on my investment, you know. So
the result is still you need to leave.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, so I haven't spoken to Fabio since, and I'm not going to name any names, but you know, I have a friend who had a similar experience, maybe a bit earlier than me, and Fabio still hasn't spoken to him since.
Right. So you know someone who left the team and then got ghosted by Fabio after they did that.
Yeah. And I've also spoken to multiple Alliance affiliates because I built friendships in the years with the team, as well as especially in the years working for Alliance. And I had one other particular affiliate actually reach out to me. He was like, hey bro, are you still with Alliance? And I was like, oh, I mean, if you went on, actually, well, by the time this episode comes out, like we've already left Alliance, but the official rebranding of
it's on the day
the
after
business.
Yeah.
This episode will come out on the 21st of October. The official rebranding of the business is October 22nd. Because it's not like you go, oh, I leave, and you just instantly magically have a whole nother business and website set up and everything, right? Shit takes time. But yeah, so he had reached out to me a while back, and he was like, hey bro, are you still with Alliance? I was like, no, I actually left and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, can I call you? I was like, yeah, sweet. And this is an American guy, right, who I know from my time working for Alliance. And yeah, and he was like, man, I don't get it. Like they're increasing the prices, blah, blah, blah. And all the exact same issues that I'm having. And anyway, he's going to leave. And there's another student of mine was recently traveling somewhere in Europe, and he dropped into an Alliance gym, and the head coach there was like, yeah, we're going to leave because of this. Like it's way too expensive with really not the level of support that, you know, Gracie Barra offers or whatever. Yeah, it's also just, I also don't think they're, you know, one of the other reasons was it got to a point that I think I'd left it so long that there was really just the point of no return. But I also don't think just a lot of the ways that they talk about things and, you know, market things or whatever, I don't think they're also really following, I don't want to say the progression of jiu-jitsu, because it's one of the things that I've always credited Fabio about, is that how he would work so hard to stay current. You know, like at the first year at Worlds that you saw Bolos, you know, it was then like the week after Worlds and he's back in the gym, and we would have these classes where I'm just like a blue belt at the time, where it was like Fabio and all the other black belts just essentially workshopping Bolos, and everyone would be asking questions and giving suggestions and whatever. And, you know, it was the same thing when Wormguard first came out, you know, He would come back straight after Worlds, and not just what the black belts were doing. He would look at what the up and coming blue belts are doing, and then so his jiu-jitsu progression wise stays very current. But I don't think the market of jiu-jitsu, I think they're a bit stuck in the past. I think it's changed a lot with social media, flow grappling.
Who's number one?
Who's number one? Gordon Ryan.
Yep. Danaher, Death Squad.
And I just team. Yes. And I think the value of being part of a big team is not what it used to be. If you go back a decade or more, just saying you were part of Gracie Barra Alliance or whatever was enough for people to go, this dude must be good and know his shit, right? But unfortunately, the nature of any business or brand or product growing is a natural watering down.
Yeah, it dilutes it.
Of it.
Yeah, 100%.
And I just think a great example is Nicholas Marigali. You look at him and he's from Alliance, and within the last 12 months, he's competed under Alliance, then Dream Art, and then and now New Wave. Because, I mean, the importance of the team is less important nowadays. Like, yeah, it still holds some weight, but, people don't necessarily look at Marigali and go, oh, he's from New Wave. They go, oh, it's fucking Marigali. Like, they're a fan of the athlete. It's almost like watching MMA or the UFC. Like, okay, let's take Conor McGregor, for example. I couldn't tell you what team he's from. I have no freaking idea, nor do I care, right? It's just people are invested in the athlete themselves. And that's only going to become more prominent with more like super fight events, like who's number one and whatever, because there's no team winner.
Yeah, it's the coaches, like the individual coaches and the individual athletes.
That's right, and so so it's more people want to be connected to that particular individual. So when you think about New Wave,
you think
New Wave, Danaher, Gordon Ryan are synonymous. You think about B Team, it's like Craig Jones and Nicky Rod and that whole, Nicky Ryan and that squad of 5-6 people is like synonymous with B Team. Yes, I think B Team and New Wave probably have affiliates or franchises or however they work it, now I would imagine,
or they're coming very soon, most likely.
But yeah, it just dilutes out, and I think it's becoming less important, and therefore there's less value in it, And even if you asked me a year ago before leaving Alliance, if I traveled to a different city or country or whatever, I'm not by default going to go to the Alliance that's there because I'm Alliance. I may very well, but like I don't really care what team it's from. I'm going to look at the instructor and, and go to that gym. It's the same as, for example, if I was in, I can't remember where Braulio Steamer's gym is. I believe it's in the UK. But yeah, it's like he's Gracie Barra, and if I was in that part of the world, I'd go to his gym because I'm more interested in him as the instructor or the athlete or the coach or whatever, rather than being like, oh, I want to go to Gracie Barra, or, oh, I'm not going to Gracie Barra because they're the McDonald's. Like, I'm like, no, it's the same. I'm going to go to Hodge's gym, even though.
Better buy a Gracie Barra gi though.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's it as well, right? But, I guess someone of that caliber could get away with it. It's like if you went to Atos in San Diego, the Atos headquarters anyway, I believe you have to have the Atos gi and it's only white gis, but they can get away with it because people are like willing to swallow that pill because they get to train with Andre Galvão, the Rotolo brothers, Kieren and all that. So people will swallow that pill.
I wouldn't swallow it for drop in. I remember you asked me this fucking ages ago and I was like, yeah, I probably would. I've actually thought about this one thing. Like any time like gis come up, I think about this example. And the more I think about it, it's like, bro, I'm not fucking buying a gi to go train, like to do a mat drop in.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Like, I mean, but yeah, I guess if you were there for a week or something, you might be like, oh, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, but you still get the fact that you said yes when you were asked that question months back.
Yes, I did.
Just hammers home the point that, you're willing to do it for, to train with those names. But if now your opinion's already changed where you wouldn't swallow that pill to train with Andre Galvão, what fucking chance does some dude who's just affiliated with Atos but isn't famous or anything, what chance does he have of getting you to buy a gi just to do a drop-in? You wouldn't even do it to train with, Galvão and the Rotolo brothers. Exactly. So it's just fucking backwards, man. And, and even the uniform policy, there's you know, there's way more reasons not to have a uniform policy, in my opinion, than to have one. You know,
Are you saying you're going to abolish the rule where you have to wear a white, black, or blue gi?
No. That's
That's what I am going to clip that, where you said having a uniform policy is worse than having no uniform policy.
No, yes, I said that, but that doesn't mean you can just go, you hear that, guys? Adam said we don't have to wear pants. You know, like
no. Oh, you're scarecrowing this, bro. That's a straw man fallacy right there. So you're telling me if I decide that I want to buy one of Levi Jones Leary's salmon pink gis, or what is it called? Peach gis, the peach pink gi, that I can't wear it.
You cannot.
I'm calling Levi.
Yeah. My uniform policy stands at, is it a what's the word I'm looking for?
Competition gi?
Yeah, like is it a competition? Is it a regulation gi? Does it pass the regulations? So
depends on the federation. You got to get with the times, man.
So you
grappling industries don't give a fuck.
So you can, you know, as far as I'm concerned, wearing a peach gi is the same as wearing a gi that the sleeves stop at your elbow. Like it's not regulation. You're not allowed to wear the gi, right? So,
but if the gi stops at your elbow, it inhibits you from being able to do gi jiu-jitsu. However, the color doesn't inhibit the jiu-jitsu.
It makes me physically ill, right? No, like I'm not, to be honest, I'm not that fussed about it. But for me, it's just
really
because I mean,
you're really not.
Like you got to have, if we're talking about the colors, right?
Yeah. I've seen people rock up with green gis to the gym and you don't give a fuck.
Well, like, no, I did tell Charles to change his gi. I said, don't wear it again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if someone was just doing a drop-in, they're just passing through, I wouldn't give a shit. I'm like, man, I'm looking like you're just passing through, like it's fine.
I didn't even know Charles Haber. I was referring to a drop-in.
All right, if it's a drop-in, yeah,
call out.
I don't care. But you know, because think about it this way, it's not fair. Which is more fair?
Okay.
For me to say, okay, well, I'm just going to keep it at, it's got to be a white, blue, and black gi because they're the only gis that are allowed in competition. So, you know, white, blue, and black, that's it. Or saying, you know, you can wear whatever color gi you want as long as I'm cool with it. That's fucking terrible because it's not fair for me to be like,
horrible. That's
you can wear a peach gi, but then if someone walks in with a yellow gi and I tell them you can't wear that, like, so.
But why can't they wear a yellow gi, Adam?
Because it's fucking ridiculous. I hate it, you know, like it's, you know.
Such a boomer, bro.
Because I'm not going to go, I feel like if I was to allow, it's either got to be.
All or nothing.
That's right.
You're 100% right.
And
yeah,
I would prefer to say it's going to be white, blue, and black.
Yeah.
Or I would go, you can wear whatever you want. And I don't want to go, you can wear whatever you want. Because then it's like.
You got to have some.
It's going to go too far.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
like,
people are going to rock up in crazy gis.
When people wear whatever they want when they come in with their whatever crazy rash guards, right?
I was about to
Rash guards are way more expressive and whatever.
So that's cool.
That's cool as long as it's not offensive. You know, like
of course.
Like I mean, if someone walked in with a rash guard that said, you know,
fuck
you know, women aren't people or something ridiculous, I'd be like, yeah, you can't wear that, or whatever.
But if
know?
someone wore
if it's
a
just covered if it's just covered in swear words or something, it's like, man, like kids are in here as well. Like you can't wear that.
Yeah,
you know?
I totally get you. But that's an example, and I know we're digressing, but I think this is an important point. That's an example of where you're current with the times, but still holding on to some traditional value. Because in terms of the gi, you're like, yeah, okay, it's competition. That's where I draw the line. You know, we could discuss that further, but that's how you want to run it, and that's respectable and fine. But when you're looking at no gi, if you drew the line and said, no, you have to wear a competition rash guard and shorts, and you have to wear my brand, then you wouldn't lose students or anything like that, but it would piss people off in terms of, like, if you look at where jiu-jitsu is, particularly the no-gi scene, as you mentioned it's very expressive. Like wearing your rash guard for jiu-jitsu guys is a way of expressing themselves.
Yeah, and
for
I think
a lot of people.
I bet you there's a lot of guys who are listening to this now who might. It wasn't until they started training jiu-jitsu and they were buying gis that they didn't need or rash guards that they didn't need. And then they had that moment of like, now I get why chicks have so many shoes, you know, like, cause I don't want that to be coming across as like being sexist, you know, but you know, that cliche thing of girls or women having more shoes than they need or use, or more handbags than they need or use. I know I'm just very cliche painting here, right? But you know, like, I've bought gis that I don't need or rash guards that I don't need. And I know, and I have multiple students who they could train, you know, 5 sessions a day, 7 days a week, and they still would have clean rash guards at the end of the week because they have so many, right?
But it's cool because then you can have one, like if you like the B team, you can buy their rash guard. If you like the Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast, you can buy our rash guard. Like, and if your gym doesn't let you wear a Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast, let us know your location. Send us your pin. We're coming. We're dojo storming.
We'll come dojo storm. Then we'll see that your instructor's really good and we'll back away.
Yeah. Free rash guards for everyone.
Yeah.
100%. I want to be able to wear my Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast rash guard.
Yeah. So what I say, and this is what I'll say, we're having on the 22nd of October, we're doing a big rebranding event so we can explain to our existing students why this is happening and what it means for them. But yeah, one of the other things with Alliance is, you know, you couldn't even get merchandise. And T-shirts, for example, the margins are incredibly small. Right,
you don't make any money off them.
You pretty much make no money. You make like $1 or $2, but all that takes is for you not to sell one shirt. And you've lost $30 or whatever. Or you sell every single shirt and you're like, yeah, I made $50. Like it's negligible. Yeah, right.
You had to sell 50 shirts.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous.
So that's just the nature of them. The margins are very small, right? And so with Alliance, you couldn't make any of your own shirts or anything like that, or you know,
because they have all the deals. Like for those that don't know, these affiliates and these teams, they'll have a deal with a company. Like take I don't know, Grips. It was previously Storm. Like even Browse is getting amongst it with some of them, and you have to purchase that company's branded gi. So it's like this big circle jerk.
Yeah, which in the team's defense though, like I'm not against this because for example, back in the day, Alliance didn't have that. If you were an Alliance gym, you could kind of make your own thing or whatever. But obviously as it grew, it got to a point where some gyms were making the most god ugly shirts or gis of subpar quality, and you know, when that's misrepresenting the brand that Jacare, Fabio, and Gigi had worked so hard to create. So obviously they had to put in some form of quality control, which was, hey, there's only official suppliers who have the legal right to produce our brand.
But there's a backlash associated with that.
But like they should have, you know, they just didn't do it in a way that like I think this is actually a big sticking point for me with Alliance. I don't think they understand how royalties work. You know, a royalty is, you should be getting like the smallest piece of the pie when you're getting a royalty payment. And, you know, there was just never, the supply chain wasn't set up correctly for the affiliate to make any money, right? And yeah, T-shirts is one, but gis, you know, you need some margin there because if I need to buy a chunk of gis, man, you'd be surprised. It's pretty easy to drop 10K on buying gis, and then, you know, they sit in storage or in your stock and you don't sell them all straight away and whatever. And
I bought some T-shirts for a business that I used to run years ago, and I spent nearly $2,000 on like less than 100 T-shirts.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
Gone.
Easy.
Like, and did I move them? No. Did
I
sell any of them? No.
But yeah, so what I will say to the students on Saturday at the rebranding event is it's like, hey man, nothing's really changed. People can wear whatever they want. Said if you need a new gi or a new rash guard, like I don't care, wear a B team one or whatever. It doesn't really bother me. You know, I said if you want one from me, that's nice. Like it supports my small business and you know, it helps me out a lot. I'm not going to force you to wear it, but it also, if you're wearing a Vantage Rashi or gi, I would prefer you to be wearing it because you wanted one rather than you were forced and obligated to buy one.
Because you like the design, you want to support the team, like you want to fit in, you want to compete in it, whatever it is.
Like when you choose to wear one from our team over, you know, a King's gi or whatever, like I mean, I think that means more to me than you being forced to wear one and I've got an extra $20 in my bank account.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, that gives students still that freedom to have the sort of expression with, because at the end of the day, jiu-jitsu gis and particularly rash guards, it is in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
That's why people buy gis and rash guards that they don't need, because it's not like it's, you know, they like the look of it. And so you can't just keep the same rash guard design forever, because people get bored of it. Like they'll want a different one or whatever. Yeah. Even if you force people to wear your Alliance rash guard, you need to change up the design as the years tick by, because, you know, when it's fashion. Yeah, the Alliance logo never changes, but you got to change the design, right? And like look at Nike. It's not like they just have the one Nike t-shirt that you can buy forever.
Yeah.
There's countless designs. The logo never changes, but
yeah, but look at all the big branded, like the big, I should say, teams. Look at all their branded rash guards. They're always boring as shit. Yeah. They're lame. They're just super basic.
I think because they like to stay PC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, fuck, if you want to wear a rash guard, you know, with a big turtle on it, smoking a joint or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not, man?
But I'm excited just for the you know, not being restricted by someone else saying what I can and can't do.
So I did want to ask, sorry to cut you off, but I want to ask this, and this wasn't planned, but what's going to change in terms of, is anything going to change, not in terms of day to day and how you operate your gym, but has this changed your perspective on where you want your business to go? Now that you're free from the shackles, if you will, these are my words, not Adam's, of Alliance, how is this going to change your trajectory? Are you going to look to expand in the future now? Are you looking to do your own marketing and change things in that front? How is this going to affect how you run your business, apart from like changing the timetable?
Perhaps a little bit. I think, you know, for example, I don't want to name the gym because there's no pen to paper. Like we just have sort of a handshake agreement, and it's not that it's more just for their security. I don't want to publicly say something about them that they didn't want public. But, you know, for example, you know, there's this other gym that is a gym that offers multiple different things. It's not just a jiu-jitsu gym, and they have jiu-jitsu classes inside their gym. And previously, because they're not part of a big team or whatever, they would kind of fight under Alliance at competitions and everything. And that now that we're Vantage, they're going to continue and come with us under Vantage. And so it definitely allows me to do more things like that. Whereas previously, technically, they would have had to pay an affiliation fee to Alliance just to compete under Alliance. Yeah, come sue me, right?
Come at me, bro.
You know, so I'm going to be free to do like partnerships and things like that I previously wouldn't be able to do. Like one thing, for example, let's say, you know, whatever. Okay, you've got your longevity course that's just come out.
The BJJ Performance and Longevity course, link in the description.
Yeah, BJJ Performance Longevity course that you've done with Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu. Right? Let's say, for example, like, I can't even think of something, but let's say, hey man, let's do a collab thing with, you know, with Vantage and this course or whatever. Like I could do that and make shirts and put the logos side by side and and all these things that previously with Alliance I couldn't do. Oh no, you can't make a shirt, and oh, you can't have that logo next to that logo, and oh no, and all this. So just the ability to, you know, to freely do my own thing, and also like I really feel good about it, like morally and ethically. I know you said not the day-to-day, but all the little day-to-day things that I can now 100% have my soul and heart behind, whereas before I would kind of have to always be, you know, making sure it's okay with not as in like calling alliance and being like, oh, is it cool if I do this? But just things that I maybe knew, oh, I'm not allowed to do that or whatever because I'm, like, how do I better explain it? Like one of the other things I said to Alliance when I was leaving was I said, I feel guilty. Like I said to them, like I said, I'm disrespecting you and the team. Like you as in like my coach, like I'm disrespecting Fabio Jacare Gigi, everything they've created, disrespecting my coach and the team as a whole by staying with the team because I'm not doing what you want affiliates to do. You're saying that they need to do A, B, and C, and I'm going, nah, man, I'm doing like LMNOP or whatever. I was actively doing the wrong thing, not because I was being rebellious, but just because, I didn't want to take my business the direction they were taking in theirs, and so now I can do all those things without feeling bad about it, because it's not just me, it's me and my students, right? It's everyone together. Like everyone is starting at ground zero with me, for better and for worse, I guess.
We're going under together, bitches.
But
I think all the students want to know the new timetable.
Yeah. So we have a running joke in the gym that in preparation to this, I had to build a new website, and the previous timetable, the Alliance Sydney timetable, became incorrect because we started adding more no-gi classes to the timetable and things like that. And so it didn't match up with the timetable on the website, and I never bothered updating it because I was building a new website with a different web developer. So I didn't want to go back to the old web developer and be like, hey, I know I've just fired you, but would you mind? Yeah. So I just left it, and it became a running joke that the timetable was never correct. The new timetable on the new website, which is vantagejiujitsu.com.au, is correct. And it's just a complete 50-50 split between gi classes and no gi classes. So they just essentially, every class alternates, so there's, I think, every day except Friday and Saturday, there's 4 adult classes. There's 1 in the morning, 1 at lunch, and 2 in the evening, right? Every day except that Friday and Saturday, there's 2 no-gi classes and 2 gi classes. Like every class just alternates, right? So the morning classes go gi, no-gi, blah, blah, and so on. So that's the new timetable. If you look on the website, it is 100% accurate. Last time I checked. I'll double check. But no, it's 100% accurate. That's the new timetable, 50-50 split of gi and no gi. But that you've reminded me of another sort of example that I would give people as to one of the reasons to part ways is, I said I don't really have a problem with the franchise model if that's what people want to do. But yeah, it would kind of be like, imagine if your gym that you currently train at said, oh, we're switching to only doing no-gi. Like we don't do gi
I'd be
class.
okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, there would be people that would be okay with it.
But you'd lose students.
But there would be students that would also be like, man, that sucks. Okay, well, you lost me as a customer. And they might still end on good terms where they're like, oh man, best of luck to you.
See ya, Ollie.
Best of luck to you, but you've lost me as a customer because, I'm not interested in just doing no-gi. That was kind of my way of leaving Alliance. Unfortunately, I was the person who was like, oh man, okay, best of luck to you guys. I don't really want to stay with you because I want to do gi, when you're only doing no gi now. But then Alliance has turned around and been like, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's not very nice.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, we're not doing only no gi. It's 50-50 gi and no gi.
I don't think you'd lose that many students.
We've got, I think the people in the gym who prefer no gi are just more vocal about it.
Yes.
And the people who prefer gi,
they're very quiet.
They don't really say anything unless all of a sudden one of their gi classes is taken away.
Then they say something. Yeah, I've noticed the exact same. There are the gym is split. I think 50% of the people prefer no gi, 50% of the people prefer gi. And then out of those respective 50%, 10% of each of those groups are like adamant, like barely does any no-gi, barely does any gi. And those are the vocal groups.
But
so
man,
they don't speak for everyone.
There'll still be people unhappy. Like for example, on the new timetable, on Monday, the 5:30 class is no gi and the 6:30 is gi. I'm going to have people being like, man, it should be the other way around. The 5:30 should be gi and the 6:30 should be no gi.
Wait. There's got to be an even split between the 6:30s though.
There is.
Okay. Well, then
because after Monday comes Tuesday.
It's fine.
It alternates.
It alternates. Yeah. Well, what do they complain about?
No,
Shut
but
up.
you know what? Because I can only make it on Mondays.
Well,
it
the
doesn't
gym doesn't
matter.
revolve around you, Chops. Fucking get on the mats.
Yeah, I know. My point being is people
Yeah.
are still going to bitch about it.
You can't please everyone.
know,
but so long as you just make me happy and you're happy, then fuck, who cares? As long as
You
we're
happy first and then me.
Yeah, I've got to be happy and then you can be happy.
Yeah.
As long as I'm happy for it to be that case. If I'm happy for you to be happy, you can be happy, Adam.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so it's exciting.
Vantage, Kieren Lefebvre.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
It's coming soon.
but it's been cool. It's been a lot of work. I mean,
I'm proud of you.
I've done.
I'm proud of you, Adam.
Not just me, my wife as well. Like the business is just me and my wife.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of work redoing the website and even just a lot of the physical work, of
The gym's been painted.
Yeah, painting the gym and painting new logos and stuff. And I painted this logo yesterday. It needs another coat.
But man, it looks good. It looks good.
It looks like it's been professionally
I even messaged
painted.
you.
I mean, it's not the most intricate design, but still.
It's the logo painted on the wall. And Adam painted this bastard himself. And I was like, holy shit.
Oh man, no, like even
It's
the
so good.
awning, so many people don't believe I did it.
Yeah, I thought you got professionals in because it looks really good. You should be a painter. Coming soon, Vantage Painting.
Yeah.
Adam Charles, Vantage Painting Services.
It's funny as well because I absolutely hate painting.
Man, you're good at it. It's crazy.
God, I hate it. Hey.
I could not do any of that sort of shit. But you've now the cat's out of the bag, and I've been the whole time like, oh, so what happened here? I know all this stuff, obviously. But I mean, I've followed this journey for it's been nearly 6 months that this has sort of been happening.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I probably would have left the team a long time ago if it weren't for how emotionally connected I was. But yeah, the straw that broke the camel's back is they essentially overnight doubled the cost of the fee to be with them. And it was like, I can't keep what essentially is in 4 years, I've had one student join the gym solely because of the name Alliance.
Yeah.
Like
it just doesn't happen.
It's not.
It just doesn't happen.
And he doesn't train anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, like it's not, that was the final straw.
No one knows Alliance. Because if you are attracting new students, the majority of your students are going to be white belts, right? Brand new.
Yeah. So they don't know the difference between Alliance, Vantage or Bumfuck Joe's Jiu-Jitsu. Right?
I think I would prefer to go to Bumfuck Joe's.
That's a good name.
That sounds like a good time. Yes, sir. But that's the point. When I joined 2 years ago, I walked into your gym because it was the closest gym off the street, and I used to run past it. I'm like, that is a jiu-jitsu gym because it says jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna walk in.
Yeah.
And then I did. Right. I didn't know the Alliance.
Yeah.
I didn't know Gracie. I knew Gracie Barra, but I didn't really understand what Gracie Barra was. I didn't really understand Atos. I didn't know of Danaher. I didn't know any of this.
Like, look at you now.
Look at me now. If I can run the podcast, mate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's it. I mean, and one of the arguments was, but once they're in the door, the value of Alliance and everything, and you educate them about that. And it's like, well, the reality is you can't take that away from me.
No.
Like
you're still Fabio's black belt.
Yeah, that's right. And I said, I can't pick a fault for Fabio as an instructor and for the team he's created and everything.
It's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah, so I mean,
it's the business model.
I still have a legacy of being Fabio Gugel's only Australian black belt, having lived in Brazil for 5 years. Was training alongside Langy and Bernardo, and again, people who are newer to jiu-jitsu within the last 1 or 2 years. The time that I was at Brazil would be like if you met a black belt who didn't go on to win world titles or whatever, but they're like, oh man, like I'm from the Danaher Death Squad. Like I was training with Craig and Gordon and, Gary, and all these guys were my training partners.
Yeah.
Like at my time in Brazil, that's Fabio's gym was what DDS was, 18 months ago or something. So, I mean, you can't take that away from me. So I've always got that legacy. I'm always proud to be Alliance. I'm just glad I never went through with it and got an Alliance tattoo because I'd probably regret it now if I did. Because
Were you thinking about it?
Yeah, when I was in Brazil, I wanted one
way.
because I thought I don't have any tattoos. So some people have multiple tattoos, so they'll just they don't give a shit. They'll just get more, right? Whether it's a good tattoo or a bad tattoo. But this would have been my one and only tattoo. And I remember my wife said, yeah, but what if you leave Alliance one day? And I was like,
I'll never leave Alliance.
No, but it wasn't even that. I said, yeah, but if I do, I'll still have that tattoo it will represent my time in Brazil and where I came from, jiu-jitsu wise and everything. So even if I leave the team, the tattoo will still represent something, But now that, unfortunately, when I left and they were like, well, fuck you, kind of, right? And won't talk to me, I'm like, well, god damn, I'm glad I didn't get that.
So when are we booking in to get matching Vantage tattoos?
I've already booked it in, bro.
Yeah.
One on each butt cheek. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever get a tattoo. I think that ship sailed for me.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the...
I like tattoos, just on other people.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Just on other people's faces.
Yeah.
Like Levi's face tattoo.
I can't wait.
I hope he gets one, bro. That'd be sick. Yeah, but I'm excited, man. There's been... It'll be fire. It'll be so lit.
So lit.
There was... yeah, man, I repainted heaps at the gym. I had the first person ring me the other day who drove past the gym. And even though it's not until Saturday that the new website... Well, the new website's actually live, but it's not redirecting yet. That doesn't happen until Saturday.
Yeah, right.
I had someone ring and I answered the phone as I do. Alliance Sydney, Adam speaking. And they're like, hi, is this Vantage Jiu Jitsu? Because it's quite big now, the signage.
That's crazy. And you're like, oh my God, yes it is.
I was like, get your ring happening. Yeah.
Why, yes, this is Vantage.
Yeah.
This is Adam Charles. You're like rebranding yourself as well. So you're going to speak like Barry White.
Yeah, I could.
Like a radio announcer.
Totally change my persona.
This is Adam.
I'm now a prick. Even more of a prick. No, it's going to be good. And, I'm excited to... I hope that I can convey it through to my students as well that, that I'm excited for them to be doing this with me too. Like, whereas before we were kind of dragging someone else's cart along, whereas I feel like now
everyone's pushing you, like your cart, our cart.
Yeah, I feel like it's all of ours, right?
Yeah.
Like I felt like we were collectively maybe pushing someone else's before, whereas now like it's as much theirs as it is mine, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I speak for everyone in saying that you could call the gym anything. We could be a part of Gracie Baja tomorrow or whatever, and I think everyone would still be pushing that cart along.
Yeah, but we're not going to do that.
No, we're definitely not. Fuck that shit.
I might change it to Bumfuck Joe's, but that's it.
We need to get Joe back.
Yeah.
Joe, if you're listening to this, where you at, bro? Haven't seen you in a while.
I actually have a message sitting from Joe.
Joe is one of those blue belts. I have a
message from him sitting right there.
Well, fuck Joe.
He was overseas.
What are you doing, mate?
He was overseas.
But he's back now.
He is back now.
He's in Sydney.
Yeah.
And he's not in the gym.
Yeah, he's been ghosting
Where you at?
me. He's been ghosting me until right now, coincidentally.
Man. He's one of those blue belts that, mate, he got the blue belt blues. Another victim.
Yeah. Nah, hopefully he's back. But yeah, guys, if anyone has any more questions,
direct them to Fabio.
Yeah, about team splits and whatever. There's so much more I could have spoken about that maybe needed more targeted questions. And I don't know. It's also I spoke to one of my students this morning actually, and they were like, "Wow, are you okay?" And I guess it was a bit of a stressful time, and I feel really good about it now. And and also having, really nice support from the students.
Yeah.
I made some shirts. Anyone watching the YouTube version, Kieren's wearing one now. And they were just some shirts that I made just to be like, oh, just make some shirts. So on the 22nd, I've got some shirts. I'm not going to make people wear them, but if people want, that's cool, you know, because I feel, I don't know, what's the word? I don't know. I feel maybe embarrassed to be like, oh, wear this. Like, why would anyone want to wear it? And I felt really, I had a few students on day one essentially be like, man, give me some shirts. I want to represent you in the gym. I'm so proud to do it. And
yeah, absolutely.
And I think the only shirts left are like a size that not many people fit. All the shirts are gone. And I've had people be like, oh man, can I get a shirt? And I'm like, I don't have any more. Like I only ordered the minimum order because I didn't think anyone would want any, and so, and it wasn't about the money. I didn't make any. I actually just sold them for the price it cost me to make them.
You lost money.
I was actually going to give them away until one of my friends was like,
you definitely shouldn't do that.
Dude, because we are a small business, right?
Yeah.
And my friend was like, bro, you need to at least make your money back. He's like, don't give them away. Like, what's wrong with you? And he still wasn't even happy that I decided to sell them at cost price because it was just the first run and I didn't think anyone would want any, you know, and
buy your Vantage Jiu Jitsu shirt now. Link in the description.
We actually did. I got a message yesterday or the day before from one of our Patreons who got the Vantage gi, the good game one. Did you read the message he sent us on Instagram being like, oh man, the gi arrived, thanks, I love it. And, you know, getting heaps of comments about it. So that was cool.
Yeah, it's a sick gi. That's a fucking awesome design. I like it.
But yeah, anyway, guys, if anyone has any other questions regarding, you know, team splits or, you know, what's going on with that whole situation, feel free to shoot them through. But yeah, otherwise, you know, we're just a little small family team now, Vantage, and we're going to do our thing. We're still going to be, not yet, but we'll be an IBJJF team because I've got all the credentials for all that sort of bureaucracy. So, you know, we'll be there. But yeah, the Instagram will change the day after. If you listen to this episode when it comes out, you know, the day after, the Instagram will change, the website will change, everything. And Vantage Jiu Jitsu, here we go.
Welcome.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. As always, at Beyond Jiu-Jitsu _podcast. All the links are there. Our Patreon, we got Kieren and Jordan's new course, the longevity, what's the correct name?
The BJJ Performance and Longevity course.
BJJ Performance and Longevity course that Kieren and Jordan have put together that only came out a week ago, 5 days ago.
A week ago when this airs.
Okay, a week ago when this airs. You know, so check that out. All the links are there. But otherwise, guys, keep training and we'll see you next time.